What's up, guys? I'm SaltEMike, and this is your Star Citizen Week in Review for March 10th, 2025. CIG just made a decision that changes what I thought the game would be completely. 4.1 is on the PTU and has a lot of new content coming to Stanton, and the Valacar might be coming. All that and more on today's Week in Review. And as always, if this is your first Week in Review, this is where I take all of the official Star Citizen news each week, put it into one video, and share some of my opinions about it. I also live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/SaltEMike. Stop over and say hi, as I will be spending a lot of time in the BTU this coming week. With that said, before we get into the news, let me share with you today's sponsor. Thank you to Boot.dev for sponsoring today's video. They are back for all you armchair developers in the comments. You yourself can become a backend web developer using Boot.dev's innovative and really smart lessons towards your goals. You will learn backend web development from start to finish with Python and Go programming languages, but what makes these lessons so different and cool, in my opinion, is they use modern game design to create a self-paced but captivating RPG game that will teach you to code. Boot.dev's philosophy is the smartest way to learn to code is to make sure you're never bored, so you can stick with it long enough to reach those goals. You can't learn to code without actually writing a lot of it and building real, tangible products. My wife is giving web development a try and is enjoying these lessons. On top of that, they have an active Discord community that will help if you are stuck, but even help prepare you for technical interviews that might be coming up. They also have a Bear Wizard AI now that will ask you questions to help you understand something you might be stuck on rather than giving you the answer. Boot.dev never wants their students to feel like they aren't getting value, so they offer you a 30-day, no questions asked refund policy, as well as a free demo of every course and its interactive features. So head over to boot.dev and use my code SaltEMike to get 25% off your entire first year. If you choose the annual plan, once again, code SaltEMike for 25% off your first payment at boot.dev. All right, thanks as always with engaging with the sponsor spots. They make the whole thing kind of turn here, but without further ado, let's get into those patch notes. All right, we'll start out on Monday, where Sunday and Monday, the game had a ton of issues. People were getting locked out of the game because of some anti-cheat and other issues and things like that. So yeah, you kind of missed that because I record these on Sunday mornings. Then we got a hotfix that night, and it was the entire reason for the patch in the first place, and they were still hotfixing it. Elevators not showing up, cargo issues, personal, all the stability things that should be fixed by the patch itself wasn't fixed. Then we got a post from Xylo about item recovery in 4.0.1. And it's coming in 4.0.1, the tier 0 version, but not really. So for the patch, it's weird because it's a band-aid solution that has future iterations coming to it. And they said here that it marks a crucial step, but it really just seems like a quick fix that'll be redone later. So let's get into what it actually means in 4.1. The tier 0 implementation is as simple as this. Any item you have equipped to yourself will be coming back with you when you respawn. That is all armor, all med pens, med guns, tractor beams, weapons, ammo, and more are now kind of lootable. The armor is not lootable, the weapons are not lootable, but other things like med guns and pens and things like that are lootable, but you'll duplicate them on your respawn. It's kind of weird. Anything in your inventory, backpack, legs, core, is entirely lootable and will not respawn with you. So yeah, best example of a good thing about this is contested zone keys are not like protected by this or anything, right? Or the keys that you'll see in 4.1. It really all depends on how many patches they stick with this, right? But they did a massive overhaul of the pricing and armor a few months back, and now you're just never going to need to spend money on anything. So it's just like a lot of wasted work by this, very confused, and many people won't need any weapon purchases in game because they already have account-bound items like grenade launchers and stuff that you're never going to lose. On top of this, any FPS risk reward is basically lost and dead for now. No significant items can change hands in a game like this anymore, and that feels odd. It just doesn't make sense to me. I'll touch more on my experience with this in the PTU later when I actually experienced it. And then for Tier 1, we're approaching something that makes a little bit more sense. Everything is lootable again, at least, but you have to register items that are equipped to you that you want to keep. If you lose them, you claim them at an ASOP terminal or a freight elevator, something like that, for a fee, whether it's UEC or crafting materials. They haven't said much on that yet. When you do this, it'll start a timer on the items that were on your body, whether they were looted or not, and they will become bricked when that timer is up and nobody can use them anymore. Anything you pledge for is auto-registered, so they can always be, re-equipped or brought back to you. Now, for my dreaded opinion again, they are solving a problem that only exists for cosmetics and are applying it to all the items in the game, making this is an overreaction, overreaching, and potentially damaging mechanic just to sell some $10 armors on the website. I don't get it. The issue here is about cosmetics, and the items should be cosmetics in the first place and could be applied to other base items, perhaps. And again, the issue is also setup time and gearing up and things like that. In a game with no loading screens, we literally have them after death. What if there was a UI that allowed players to choose their next loadout from their inventory while waiting to load into a medical bed? Right? Like, we're going with very drastic, very overreaching solutions where the obvious ones are right in front of you. So, is this a monetization scheme? That's kind of what it's looking like. The bricked items idea is also a weird one, and, well, many people are calling out wear and tear as a better solution, so maybe that's the way they should go. Then Tier 2, and this is where they lose me potentially completely. Now, individual players who may or may not want to engage in crafting gameplay are going to have to get their items back. They're going to have to spend crafting materials and credits to get that gear back. I think this could take a ton of player engagement away because they're being really vague. We don't know what crafting materials are going to be a part of the process, but the one thing they can do to essentially make this okay for me is any non-cosmetic type item would require more time and commodities to do it yourself than just buy it from a leveled up crafter who's making things efficiently. And two, if the item is cosmetic, it should require a base item to replace it with, right? So if you have an FS9 that's cosmetic and has a cool skin on it, you need a basic FS9 to restore the cosmetic onto that one, leaving room in the verse for crafters still. And that's where I would appreciate it. Now, on to EVO. 4.1 happened on Wednesday. For the features, Heavy Fighters got a balance pass here. I have no idea in what direction necessarily, as this is not my specialty, but looking at SP Viewer, it shows that a lot of Heavy Fighters got some health bonuses, but lowered maneuverability, but the Guardian's maneuverability improved by a few percentage points, and then the Argo Atlas can now be destroyed, and all reasons I'll mention in a moment as to why. Bugs. The main thing I want to point out here is that they fixed the teleport issue when entering ships you are not authorized on. And then they are not going to fix the cargo issue for mining in 4.0.2. So if you wanted to complete supply or die with mining like I did, well, that seems like it cannot be hotfixed and requires a patch to update, right? So unfortunately, this is the nature of pushing things so quickly out so often, but I much prefer this fashion of iteration and then content every 3 months and nothing to do in the game while you're waiting for that to happen. Then Thursday, another Evo patch, and this had locations as one of its focuses, and they spent time making the new Hathor locations look quite awesome, and I really enjoyed what little time I had with them. I was unable to simply get the full content complete, and yeah, I'll explain it to you guys in a bit, but I will describe it like this. I think open air contested zones. There's PvE, there's PvP, but you're in Stanton, so it's monitored and you can get a crime stat, and there are puzzles and keys. It's really cool, to be honest. You have to align 3 dishes to the station above, get 3 batteries, and bring them up to the orbital station, and I haven't been to the orbital station yet, and I'm not going to lie, I'm loving the slow exploration I'm taking with this. I didn't want to spoil myself in Evo with no PvP. I just went out with my friends and experienced it on Saturday, and it was great. So I might not be the best creator for you this week, but after all the silliness with item recovery, I had to just sit back and enjoy the update just as a player for once, and I hope you appreciate that. Gameplay-wise, even more cool stuff, but only sort of. This is very work in progress right now, it seems. The team made 4 new rock minables. I've only found 2 so far, and the 2 I found were quite easy to mine. What is cool is they're working towards those 1.0 goals for mining, where they're separating hand mining from vehicle mining. So Aphorite, Dolovine, and Hadanite and Janelite are no longer rock minables, only for hand mining in caves and the like, where you would find them. But they added 3 new ones as well. There is a mention of 4 dedicated mining heads for the rock. I looked around, and as well as people in my chat, none of us found them. Also, we have not found a sale price on any of the new stuff or any of the new items and things like that. Then, Friday PTU, we went to Wave 1. Gameplay and locations here is they did more polish on the new locations. More on this one in just a second. They made a fix that hopefully stops us from hearing NPCs from a mile away, and this is where I will talk about Wyleko or Wykelo, or I forgot how to say his name. Like most things in the patch, it doesn't seem ready yet, but there is an alien in Star Citizen now, kind of. As far as I can tell, he's just an air traffic controller with a few lines that offers missions.
Oh, hello. Not expect anyone to take.
All of the missions I found have a few items that I couldn't turn in, so I was never able to complete any missions or gain any rep with him to see if we get more from him than just being an air traffic controller. But there is an alien in Star Citizen. It has a voice. It has animations. There's a Banu in Star Citizen now. Hard not to think that that's kind of cool. Apparently, you can sneak into more areas in his location, but I'll just wait on any of that to open up and when it's ready. Now, for my experience on item recovery, the Tier 0 version, as discussed, is now in, and it was as positive and negative as I expected. I ran into a ton of PvP at Hathor, and after death, I was able to get right back in, which is obviously great, but I was able to wear also a big yellow North Face or something, where, that's also great. I can dress how I want. But then I ran low on ammo. I needed a gun. The closest player to me, I couldn't loot. I couldn't loot his gun off of him. They didn't have the ammo I was looking for. I couldn't disarm anyone that was down, and I couldn't loot extra mags off of a player's suit, right? Or I could, but they didn't have the mags that I wanted. I think there is a lot of good feedback on this implementation, and I hope they take it to heart. And I love how they said they want to reduce the drop rate of grenade launchers, and I instantly found 2 in the 2 hours that I played the patch. How does that help anything when you can just buy the guns on a website? Again, feeling like a monetization change exclusively. Caterpillar changes. Next, they made it so the Caterpillar doors go all the way down to the surface, and they don't have a grid on them. So I'm not sure how effective these will be for cargo, but it is certainly easier to get in and out now. Now, before we talk about what happened with the P2 web patch and why it's not here, the last thing is in the journal. And they go through and tell you about all the animals in the verse in this journal post. And they talk about the Valakar. They talk about all the 3 different levels of Valakar. And then they talk about how you find them. And it sounds like this Hathor location is going to have a boss at the end of it. And that's really cool and exciting. So really looking forward to that. And then lastly, the PTU went down, and it was so unstable that they took it down for the rest of the weekend. We have about 3 weeks until this patch is kind of set to be released, I would guess. So, yeah, I see no issues with this coming down. Take the weekend off for the dev team, get refreshed, come back on Monday and give it another go. The content looks really cool, and it would be really, really nice if it was stable. And then for the monthly report, not a whole lot to go on this month, but here we go. AI content. They fixed a number of ATC bugs, and now we know why, to get their mission giver in. And as well as, getting the AI to act differently in dogfights. I don't really know what this is going to look like. What do you guys think? AI tech. This one's actually huge. They are working on AI being able to EVA, and this will change the way missions look and feel quite a bit. It should hopefully allow AI ships to also fly around a bit more and make the game feel a little bit more alive. Then for core gameplay, this is where most of the stuff was. Misfires are first, something that we saw in 2023, and I just have to say this. There are so many issues around FPS gameplay, specifically with weapon swapping and interaction delays, that we already have our own misfires, right? I think we need to focus on fixing that type of stuff first before anything like misfires are introduced. That is something you add after you have a solid foundation for FPS gameplay, and they just don't yet. Then engineering is mentioned, but more on the polished side. So I do expect to see this in an upcoming patch to some extent quite soon, with a post that, you know, will cover another updates. Like, it's kind of giving us clues that this is going to happen. They are certainly preparing for it to happen. Crafting and base building are mentioned together. Basically, they're in-engine and working with Dev UI, which is cool, but I'm pretty on edge with the decisions around item recovery if this will excite me in the way that I thought it was going to. And then radar continues to get mentioned, but no current plans on when these updates are going to be coming. But in 4.1, there is a better looking radar on ships, so maybe that's the start of it. Also, most of this seems about FPS radar, more stuff from CitizenCon 2023 that people were pretty polarized on. I wonder how this will play out. And the mission design, the big update here is that they are kind of taking away all the little companies that you could work for, it seems, and dialing things back a bit on the reputation side. You know, like basically doing combat missions are just going to be with Foxwell enforcement, and bounty missions just with the Bounty Hunter Guild instead of, you know, each planet and things like that. I think this is probably a good thing. Let me know what you guys think about it. The dev team is certainly happy with a little bit more simplicity there. I saw it in my Twitch chat from Elliot. They are also focused on more quality on the mission side, specifically hearing our feedback and trying to integrate more voice lines. Then online tech, the only reason this is getting a mention is because of the fact that server meshing was mentioned, but not just regular server meshing, dynamic server meshing. So they are doing something that is a step to get there apparently at some point. UI is the last thing, and the reason we are including this is because of the social universe mention. Many people were really hyped to see org and party tools and so on considered at CitizenCon last year, and it looks like they're prioritizing bringing that into the game already. And then for video updates, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I have zero interest in 2025 hearing about concept art of literally anything in this game. It was a hard skip for me. I heard most of the episode was spent talking about the people, which is great. If you want to find out about the people that work at Star Citizen, this is the episode for you. Again, just not for me. And then they moved into showing some concepts of ships like the Pioneer and others. Great. Let me know when they are scheduled and in a patch, and I will be excited. So, you know, any Banu Merchantman fans out there, it's hard to get excited about these things, but they showed Pioneer, Kruger ships, and some RSI ship that is coming as well. Again, concept art, but when are we going to play with them? So let's get into other updates. Surprise, surprise, the first thing shown in a sneak peek after item insurance posts and changes, guess what? It's armor they want to sell. Looks like racing armor from 2024 CitizenCon, and my only question is, will this come with any updated stats, like gameplay-wise? But outside of that, it's just solidifying my views that this is probably a monetization push and not a making the game better push on the item recovery side. Component guides is next, and CIG made an incredibly long post for features that are all subject to change about components, what they will do, and how they'll work, from all the types of grades, everything. So if you're not too familiar with this, it's a great resource, but if you're going to consider any of this stuff kind of set in stone just because they made a post before any of this stuff is even in the game with feedback, yeah, this is the content that just mostly doesn't exist. So yeah, it's likely to change over time, and it's kind of a good resource to have there that they can update every once in a while as things change. But for now, I don't know if it's that important. Subscriber update is next. The $10 sub update is a shirt with an X on it, which is a nice callback to the contested zone sense. I actually think it's cool, even though it's kind of low effort, but I still don't see a purpose in clothing at all in the game. $20 sub is a chair made from the Detatrine containers, which is a cool little touch as well. And then the store offering is a cosmetic green color update to Headhunter armor sets that we already have in the game. More examples of You know, these things that we want them to get away from, but they continue to do. And then they offer a package with all the items. Bar Citizen World Tour is next, and CIG announced that which ones they'll be attending this year. One being in my home state, which is pretty cool, but feel free to head to the page and see if any are near you. And with that, that's where I'm going to call it this week. So thank you for watching. I had a really tough week of loving Star Citizen like I normally do. I think the item recovery thing really has thrown me for a loop. I know it's happened to other people out there, like players that wanted a more sim experience. They've gone away from that completely. Today was my turn, right? Where CIG undermined everything I thought the game was going to be. So I totally understand, people's frustrations with the project and all those things. I have my moment right now, and I'm wondering if this is going to be the game for me. But the only way to find out is to continue to give them feedback, continue to show them what you love, what you find exciting, what you don't like. And I will continue to do that here every week, as well as on my Twitch channel. More videos here, hopefully, and on the TV channel as well. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think. Sound off in the comments. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more weeks in review. And I will catch you guys next week.